Hey guys, so if you watch my previous video, you'll know that I just came back from Lake Cuyamaca where I tried out some of the things, my design that I slapped together really quick for this, for that last trip. You'll see there's some places that I needed to tweak, and if you watch my videos, you know, maybe my real adventure is not the camping or the fishing or anything like that, but the real adventure is just designing different things, repurposing things like this TV console, and hacking things that just weren't meant to be for camping, but you know, might be very effective and useful. In my haste, you know, there are things that I could have done a little bit better. So, you know, during the camping trip, I was able to test those things and to see what needed tweaking. So this video, we're going to tweak some of those things that I discovered. And first main thing is that the floor bed had some issues, and then we're going to fix that first of all. Okay, so the floor bed was a little too low. So I was a little too aggressive with the gap that I left to sleep underneath, and what I needed to do was to have it a little bit higher. And in my haste to just get everything in here, and these cabinets were taking up my garage, so I wanted my garage back, and I wanted to just throw them in here. I cut it right here, you know, cut off the legs right there, and I just left everything else kind of the way it is. I cut off a little bit off the top, but I didn't do some, you know, extra cutting. And now I'm going to have to go back and do that extra cutting, and I'm going to need to reclaim, yes, this much space. I'm going to have to cut it right here to get that much more space, move over here, and I'm going to use this gap and move it up even higher. So in total, I'm probably going to gain about that much extra space for the sleeping area underneath, and then that should be enough, and you'll see what I mean. All right, so under here was the issue. You know, the floor bed sleeps like this, and without a mattress, it's actually not too bad. I'm able to turn my body no problem without hitting the top. The problem was when I actually put the mattress, it elevated me so much, and my hips were hitting this as I was turning, so that's why I needed to have this extra clearance. So I'm going to have to do a lot of hacking just to give me 5 extra inches of clearance, but it's going to be very important because you don't want to sleep and not be able to turn over. All right, that was a pain in the ass to do, and there's all the peripheral pieces. So I need to come back here, and this is basically where I want to chop off. I want to chop off there, and put on the top back on and all that good stuff. Okay, so I chopped off that top part, and that was a lot of work, taking everything apart, putting it back, but now I'm going to put on the top. And now that the top is off and all that stuff, I'm going to take this opportunity to upgrade my top with this. This is another Craigslist freebie find. It's basically just a desktop, a white desktop, but it's got these nice edges, you know, that's all curved and stuff. So I'm going to cut this down and then use this as my countertop. All right, that took me all morning and into a good part of the afternoon to get this done. There you see the new countertop. It's white. It looks really good with these round edges. It's nice and clean. So I cut off that much, and then I raised it just a little bit, and you can see that the gap in between is significantly higher. Let's look around the other side. All right, this is this side, and I did it a little bit different because the pieces didn't fit anymore because I needed longer pieces, but that's the way it looks over here. I think it looks pretty good. The nice part is I have a big gap now for that floor bed, and that was the goal. Well, I'm tired, so for now, it's Miller time. All right, well, you guys know I don't actually drink Miller, but I drink a lot of IPAs. So today, it's gonna be a Lagunitas. And I spent all morning and most of my afternoon getting a little bit more space for the floor bed. And that's one of the things I learned from that Lake Cuyamaca trip that I needed to fix. The good news is that that's the hardest part. So I have a few more little things to do. One is a way to level this bed easily. It's a big mess right now when you take everything apart and put it back, but that's probably gonna be up next. But for now, I'm gonna finish this, and then I got some gardening I gotta do too. See ya. Hey guys, all right, so today I'm back at it again, doing the modifications from the things I've learned after the first trip. And one of the things I learned, well, first, I learned this sucker is awesome. I'm going to leave a link on this faucet, this battery powered faucet. I can't even say enough about how happy I am with how it performed. But one thing I did wrong was I left too much line in the sink, and I'm going to have to trim it down. And the reason is when the line goes in the bucket, if you have too much line, the line starts curving and then comes back up, and then it's just not all the way down to the bottom. So the line is something like this when it starts curving, and that means it's not going to suck out the water if it's above the water line. So I do need to trim this so that it's a little bit more goes straight to the bottom. But before I do that, one thing to help keep this flexible tube straight is to use PVC. So I have a PVC pipe, and I'm gonna use that to help keep the line straight in there. But one thing with the PVC pipe is that if I cut it straight off the top like this, the problem is when it's at the extreme angle, it'll fall in. So what I like to do in these types of scenarios is I like to take the worst angle, put it at a diagonal inside, and then cut it right there, so that even at the worst case, the PVC pipe won't fall into your container, and your line will be nice and straight. It'll be at an angle, but still it'll be straight to the bottom where it'll suck out all the water. So that's what we're going to do today. So just pretty simple. I'm just gonna put it at this is straight up, and I'm gonna put it at an angle. I'm gonna mark the space, take my cutter and chop that sucker off. So if I measured it right, it won't drop. Okay, so here it is, and it doesn't sink in. I don't have to fish for it. So next, I'm going to measure how far this goes down in the tub and cut it exactly, and then I should be good to go again. All right, the faucet is in, and the line is installed, and I trimmed it down so it's just the right height. All right, so up next on my list of things that I needed to tinker with is that I have these child safety straps, and they look like this, and they clip in, and then it allows you to open the door. So I don't know if you noticed, but I put these little, instead of the handles, I replaced it all with little ropes so it doesn't get caught in your clothes or anything like that, and that actually worked out really well. So these baby safety things, so when you're driving, the doors don't open and close, swing open. They work pretty well, but for instance, they just use these sticky things, and you stick them to the side and you clip it in, and that holds it firm. So in this scenario, it worked well, but let me show you. This guy over here, the strap fell right off the sticker. So what that tells me is that these little sticky things aren't super reliable for all the weight it needs to hold. So that should be pretty easy. I'll leave a link in the description for these too if you're interested in these. I'm just going to put a screw right here. Even for the ones that did hold, I'm going to put a screw to make sure it stays. And that should be all you need. It'll stay in. So I'm going to do that to all of them, and then move on to my next to-do. Okay, so next up is the leveling issue. The ground that I was sleeping on was a little uneven, and I couldn't get around it. I mean, I couldn't just park my car the other way, because then that'd be, you know, unleveled the other way. So there was no way around it, and I can't jack up my car just to be more level. But what I can do is to adjust the bed. So I actually made the bed not mounted to the ground on purpose, and I did have this in mind. And what I'm just going to do is to have a piece of 2x4 and another piece for the center support. So the back, you know, everything is removable like that. So it's held in the front by that little wall that I built. I'll show you that in a second. But anyways, so with this 2x4, I could lift it up, put it in, and I could level it so that it'll be more even when I sleep. I'll do that right now. It's a little bit you know, you do have to lift up the weight of this cabinet. You know, that may be easy for you, it may not be easy, and you know, depending on what stuff you have in these drawers, it might get a little heavy for some people. But you know, this TV console table was made to hold probably, you know, pretty heavy TVs, so I'm not worried about this. But what happens when I do lift up one side is that, let me show you, is that I get a gap right there, and that gap, you know, that's part of, it was pretty flush with the ground before the level. So what I have is, you can put it in the camera, this intermediate piece, and then I'll put that in. So this guy would go like that, so that there's some support in the middle, so that we have 3 points, the 2 ends and a middle support. So it's still very strong, no issues. And conversely, we can do that in the front. So here's that thing that holds my bed in place that I told you about, and same thing. I could lift this up, put the 2x4 right here, and then the center wedge support, I can move that down. So it's the same thing. I could level both sides. All right, so where to store this? I could either just put it back here. So I actually have something back there right now. I could just put it back there, or I could, what I'm probably gonna do is just put it in these drawers. Put that away, and actually put that in my drawer too. And it's away nice and neat. Okay, so the last thing was I needed to update the bed, not the bed, the bath. The bath, again, the ground was unlevel, so that the water was all collecting on one end, and that end was not the end of the drain. So I need to come up with a better system for that, and I actually do have a better system for that, but that's a whole new video where I'm going to do a new bath. It's actually an old bath, and in my element I did the dog bath, and I did that like I don't know, that was 3 or 4 years ago. And you know, I do see a lot of people using that dog bath technique for baths these days, so I think that's great, and it might be good for you guys too. So in another video we'll do that, but for now this is it, and it's Miller time. Nah, I don't drink Miller.